Good morning, guys. Good morning. It's Tuesday. Wow, what a game yesterday in a lot of different ways. It was always Kirk Cousins, right? In fourth quarter, prime time, coming back, finding a way to win, saving my ass. Thank God. Staring at a 1-3 going into that drive turns into a 4-0. So that's obviously nice. Definition of a 50-50 game. If you didn't see it, the Eagles suck. That's the one thing I'm 100% right about. The Eagles suck. They sucked last year. They suck this year. I feel really confident after 2 weeks. There's a lot of things that you got to see a little bit more before you're ready to make any proclamations. If you're not necessarily sure, just because 2 weeks is 2 weeks, right? But this Eagles team is terrible. I mean, they really are. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. He's dropping back to throw the ball and immediately running. It was awful. Like some of the one touchdown they had where he had two long third down runs before the half, I think it was, or I think it was before the half. But I'm like, why are the Falcons? They should have like just two spies on him. Like he can't throw the ball. I mean, it's really bad. Uh, their offense is just so, you know, I mean, blah. Like if you're an Eagles fan yesterday, just wow. And everything, yeah, it's easy to pick on Barkley. He drops the ball at the end, but it's the same thing as Ravens fans picking on Lamar. When you're asking one person to do everything at the end of the game, sometimes they run out of gas or they're going to make a mistake. But if it comes at the end of the game, it always gets highlighted. But the takeaway for me was the Eagles' offense is just terrible. I mean, without AJ Brown out there, that does something, but I mean, Hurts just can't read the field. He really can't. So Steichen got the most out of him. I'm not sure what's going on with Anthony Richardson in Indianapolis right this second. Hopefully, I mean, play the Bears this week, so it's not going to be easy. But yeah, I stand by Steichen being the genius that made that Eagles offense roll, got the most out of Hurts. He doesn't want to do the RPOs as much. So it's like he drops back to throw and just runs. Anyway, the Eagles are still going to cover and win the game, frankly, if Barkley just catches the ball, but he doesn't. And there you go. Kirk Cousins. Hell, if the Falcons are going to be a team this year, they're going to win Sunday night against the Chiefs. They're catching the Chiefs as they haven't looked really sharp. It'll be the Chiefs' first road game. Falcons home Sunday night, and they have all the momentum in the world. If you saw them celebrate after the game, you would have thought they won the Super Bowl. But a big drive. It really was. It was a big drive by Cousins, big throws over the middle, and that offensive line mashes people. Man, I mean, Bijan is whoo fast. That Falcons team, I have them. I think I had them as the sixth or the seventh seed, making the playoffs. I had the Bucks win the division. I stand by that after 2 weeks. I feel like they can't win the Super Bowl. This team, they just maybe they can get a little bit better offensively, throw the ball down the field, but Cousins just doesn't look super comfortable coming off the injury. But you gotta give him credit. Last drive, he got done. So that happened. Two things I want to talk about today before before I get out of here, and we all pray that the last 12 games goes well for the Orioles. First thing is, this is the last time I promise I'm going to say something negative, because if we're all just super positive here, we can win the World Series, everything will be great. But I hate that Cole Irvin is now picked up by the Twins. Like, I hope I'm just like, it doesn't matter and he doesn't pitch. But for whatever reason, I just started thinking about those last three games of the year and Cole Irvin on the Twins. Like, I love Cole Irvin, and I'm just mad that we didn't just release Kimbrel. So I said it. I don't want to talk about anything negative with the Orioles. What I do want to talk about that I think is interesting, if you're trying to find a silver lining for these last 12 games, is we're now officially the underdog. So maybe what happened to this team is they couldn't handle being the favorite. Maybe they couldn't handle, the expectations. Well, trying grasping at straws here, but that's the best thing I got for positivity is now we're officially the underdog and we're the favorite in these 6 games. So both things are true. We should win all 6 games. We're getting the Giants and the Tigers at home. The Tigers might be eliminated by the time we play them, but either way, we're a much better team. The Giants are done. They're ready to be done. They got to come all the way across the country, but yet we're the underdogs because now everyone's against us. The percentage chance of us to win the division is much lower than it's been at any point the whole year. We're 3 games back, so all the vibes are negative, which makes us the us against the world. Nobody believes in us. hopefully that's the attitude they have. They just come out, they play as good a baseball as they can, and after these 6 games, they're right there. And then we see what happens with those 3 games in New York. But they got to win, in my opinion, they got to win 5 out of 6 at a minimum, just to make sure the vibes are great and they have a shot. Because now, who knows what the Yankees are going to do if they get Seattle? Seattle's hanging on by a thread. They're 4 games behind Houston, so luckily for Orioles fans, Seattle's going to play their hardest. Like they still have a chance. So that's good news. But then they play the Athletics, which on paper is not great, but the Athletics are actually better than, expected this year. So who knows exactly what they're doing up there in Oakland. But yeah, we need 5 out of 6, and hopefully they win 3 out of 6, and then we're a game out. That would be where I'm thinking going into those 3 games in New York. And then we got those 3 last games with the Twins. So all right. Looking forward to talking about that in the morning. But here's a little gambling tip. I think this is, make sure I have the odds in front of me. Again, you can always buy points, right? And one of the things when I talk to people individually is whatever your bet is, whatever you like in the game, you find the value, like get the best number you possibly can, bet the money line, don't get beat by a half a point or a point. Like if we call it the hook. If you have to give 3, never give 3.5 as a favorite. Always buy down the 3 or just take it on the money line, like little things like that. So with that being said, when the opening lines come out and it's Tuesday, so a lot of the lines are relatively the same in sports books. They start to change throughout the week when money starts coming in. So there's 2 games that jumped out at me that I think will change. They could change as early as, I put the podcast out. Maybe it takes closer to the weekend, but I would expect 2 lines to go in a different in a different direction than where they're at now. One of them is the Texans. So if you like the Texans, I would jump on them now. They're -2.5 at Minnesota. I still think that most of the money will come flying in on Houston there. So if you like the Texans, take them now so you don't have to pay to get the 3. And if you like the Vikings, I would hold off and wait closer to the weekend. I just think that line's going to move in the Texans' direction. And the other one is the Saints from last night. I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like if you watch that Eagles game yesterday, how do you want to bet on the Eagles moving forward? Like, what would make you want to bet on the Eagles? I think they're completely going to flop. The coach just has no rhyme or reason to what he's doing. They don't know what their identity is. They want it to be all Saquon Barkley. And the fact that they lost yesterday, if they would have just won the game yesterday and escaped, it's such a razor thin margin in sports. And losing that game, I just think ruins their energy. They're going all the way to New Orleans, and the Saints are on fire. And the Saints match up really well with the Eagles. I feel like I'm going to say this again on Monday. Excuse me, which is Saints are 3-0. They're probably statistically the best team by far, but yet I still have them winning 7 games because I think that could be in play. I don't know if I'm just dead wrong about them, but I think they're going to look good again this week against an Eagles team that is going to really struggle. So I would expect that line to move. It's already Saints are -1.5. It's already moved from projecting from the Eagles to be 3-point favorites before the game yesterday, according to one site that I'm looking at. So now it's Saints -1.5. I wouldn't be surprised if it got the Saints -3 by the time they kick it off. So just 2 games to keep an eye out for if you're looking to bet. And the Seahawks game also jumped out at me. They're only 5-point favorites against the Dolphins right now. I would expect that to get closer to 6 by the time they kick off. But definitely the most confident about the Texans going up. And again, I don't know if I'm prisoner of the moment here, but I would think more money would fly in on the Saints. Doesn't necessarily mean that those 2 teams are going to cover and win. I do think in the Saints case they will. Texans Vikings, I got to analyze that game. The Texans commit way too many penalties, but I just think more money will come in on the Texans. So, all right, I think that's going to do it for today. Oh, I wanted to do just a couple minutes on this because I touched on it on Sunday, and I just think it's worth pointing out because as we are trying to figure out who to bet on, the one thing you don't want to bet on is like a stupid team. Like there's nothing worse than watching the game and being like, why did I bet on such a dumb team? Like just such a stupid team. And stupid, dumb can come in like lots of forms. It can be, to me, I put like Jamar Chase in that category, like what he did to get that 15-yard penalty. It's like the Bengals are always doing something stupid. It just feels like that's the history of the Bengals. It's not a bulletproof plan for betting, but just like as a stay away in my head, I'm like, as soon as I identify as somebody that I don't know why they're doing what they're doing, that's why I fade the Eagles so much, because I feel like that coach is just not a smart guy. With that being said, what Colorado did at the end of the game, I don't know if it's getting enough attention. I don't know if we have the attention span to pay attention to things that happened 3 days ago anymore. But just to recap what he did and why I think it's an automatic fade Colorado for the rest of the season, at least stay away from them, is at the end of the game was over. Literally over. It's 28-6. I'm still watching because I have under 33 and a half points. And I'm like, if I lose both of these bets tonight, I'm just going to be so I didn't even want to bet on college football, but Dion's playing. It's Saturday night. I make an exception. So I have Colorado State plus 7.5. That bet's already over because they commit 55 penalties. And I got under 33 and a half points, which seems like a lock considering there's a minute and a half left. I should have wrote down the exact time so I'm accurately saying this. I'm paraphrasing what happened, but it was atrocious. It was absolutely ridiculous. So the game's over. It's 28-6. They can run the ball if they want. That would be stretching it. I think they're backed up. Like they're, you know, on their own side of the 50. They can run the ball if they want to end the game. But I don't think Colorado State was going to call any timeouts because they didn't call a timeout on the first time on the first play after he threw the ball. So the first down, he just comes out throwing the ball. I'm like, I don't think they need to get a first down here. Colorado State only had 2 timeouts. Colorado State does not call a timeout after they complete the ball. So it's like game's over. They're not even going to take the timeouts. All they have to do is kneel the ball. If they want to run the football, that'd be one thing. And they proceed for the next minute to basically run a 2-minute drill, where Dion and Shador decide that it's the Dion and Shador show, and he's throwing bombs into the end zone. Not trying to cover a spread. There's no conspiracy there. I don't think they bet the over team total. It was an emotional reaction to a rivalry game where there's an opportunity to pad stats. And when you think like that's the mindset of a team, you're like, all right, is that Alabama or Georgia? And then maybe you're going to excuse it just because who knows what they're doing exactly. They brought in their backups or something, and it's a pedigree thing. And hell, they've won so many national championships and they're always dominant that it's like a weird thing you think about, but then you move on. But when it's a losing team, a team that just got their ass kicked the week before, handled it terribly, and they're a gigantic favorite against Colorado State. Like it's 7.5 points, but from a talent perspective, they should have won whatever. So to do that at the end of the game is just asinine. It makes absolutely no sense, and you're going to get what you pay for. And I think in their situation, it kills the energy for the rest of the team. Shador, so they don't get the touchdown, spoilers, so thank God for that. But you take hits. They go for it on fourth down. The defensive tackle for Colorado State gets a clean shot on them. And it's just made no sense to me. It makes zero sense. They ask him about it after the game. Nobody wants to ask him too many follow-ups, but he basically just gives some sort of BS answer that Colorado State was trying to score. So he was trying to score. Well, they're trying to score because it was 28-6 or 28-9, whatever the score was. And when they couldn't score and you got the ball and there's a minute and a half left, you just kneel it and the game's over. And when you treat an opponent like that, I think it's terrible karma, number one. You try to justify it by saying kids said certain things. There's 80 kids on the roster. Everybody's saying crazy things. Some of it gets picked up, some of it doesn't. You're supposed to be the adult. It was just embarrassing to me. I hate Dion. I don't like what they're doing over there at Colorado. So that's the end of the rant on that. But figured I'd get that off. But the point of it is not for you not to like Dion. I just would not bet Colorado. I would stay away from stupid teams that make stupid mistakes all the time. They commit a ton of penalties. Also, just Colorado State outdid them on that. So, all right, that's that. Orioles in the morning. I didn't even check. We got Blake Snell for them tonight. Oh, Blake Snell. Blake Snell against Suarez. Two complete opposite journeys, right? Suarez, the ultimate grinder, found a way to make it. Blake Snell, the ultimate prima donna, can never go past 5 innings. Hopefully we just rock them, and it's another sign that You can't just buy your way into the playoffs as the Giants tried to do. Despite their efforts, they're going to fall short, and the Orioles are headed to the playoffs. Let's get the win tonight. Hope everybody has a good day. Good luck with all your bets. And yeah, see you guys in the morning.